How you doing? I'm Dave Hughes, Racktop Systems. I'm here to talk to you guys today about protecting your data against insider threats as well as ransomware protection. Now, Racktop Systems is the company I work for. Brickstore SP's security platform is the product we produce. It is a full-featured NAS product, really leveraged in a PAX VNA archiving for unstructured data. What we do is we can actually stop and prevent ransomware within the actual storage array itself, not having to rely on third-party or firewalls. Let's face it, the bad guys are not after a firewall, they're not after a PC, they're after the data. That's what's the most valuable aspect of the data you do day to day. If the hospital's down, the hospital's crippled. If all that information is locked up and encrypted, it's no good to you. We cannot operate as usual, and that means patient care, right? So in the entire model, of course, a lot of these big boxes and big physical pieces of hardware you see behind me, all the pieces of software that interact with that, they are no good without data anyways. If you can't get the imagery and get the data and get it to a repository, share that information out so that doctors can make use of that information, they're no good. So how do we protect the data? We have to actually talk about employing a data-centric zero trust model at the data layer to prevent and stop ransomware as well as insider threats. So with that, we also have a nice special. If you want to see some more and actually get a free access to our software to help stop ransomware and stop those types of events in real time. I'm not talking post-process, I'm talking real time. Stopping those ransomware events, stopping a insider threat from stealing or manipulating information or data. If you want access to that, come by our booth, 6704 on the North Hall, and I'll get you access to our platform, the Brickstore security platform, with our free virtual appliance jumpstart program. Now, this whole thing is actually better seen live. So what I am describing to you, and I'll try to make this simple and easy, right? So if you're working with as an associate or a doctor, you're working with the actual piece of hardware. Well, it's in the background is the IT infrastructure housing the information and data. So to make this in simple terms, a NAS device is a network shareable system. We put data in a repository and it's accessible by many applications or users. For instance, I'm logged in as the IT administrator to the hospital right now. I'm going to go look at, hey, I got access to everything. I can see it all. I'm using a privileged account with administrative privileges. I can do anything I want unwatched. I'm going to go look at this sensitive data right here. I'm going to go open up the CT scan, and I'm going to watch this video. So I'm not a doctor. I shouldn't be watching this, right? Just because I have access to this information doesn't mean I should be looking at reviewing it. This is patient medical record data. The doctor should be looking at this, and the patient should be reviewing it, not the IT person. Also, how do I even know that an actual IT person in the hospital's using that account to access this information? Maybe this is an account that's been compromised. Well, if this was housed on a Brickstore secure platform on our storage infrastructure, we would be able to identify and detect anomalous behavior, such as that type of access. So right here, this is the Brickstore security platform and what you're looking at. This is our management console. This is what your IT guys would interface with, right? Users interface with data in this sense. There's no change, there's no difference. There's no difference to the applications and how it accesses. The only big difference that we're doing, we are watching everything. Just like the NSA says on their slogan, in God we trust, everyone else we monitor. So right here we can see we actually have an actionable item that says, hey, there's an unacknowledged security incident happening on your storage right now. Something's going on with the data. We see that an administrator, dhughes.adm, an account that has elevated privileges, is accessing information that he shouldn't be. He can back it up, restore it, but he should not opening up it and consume the content. So we actually have a legitimate real-time actionable alert right here. This is what an insider threat would look like. How do I know? Is it Dave? Are you logged in right now? No, Dave's at lunch. Why is this account accessing information he shouldn't be right now? So now the security team can actually jump into action, shut the account down, shut down the access, and we actually know exactly what the files or the data that account had compromised or even looked at. So we have a full record of everything. Now, we're able to do this because we have something called user behavior analytics. Everything that every single user does, every user, And every action that user or application is doing live in real time, we monitor and report on it. So all this information is being saved, and it can also be shared with your security team, like with a SIM or a SOAR, or even some of the AI capability that you walk around the floor to make better decisioning on what we need to do next if we actually see an intrusion or something like that, right? So we are able to see everything that happens live in real time. Because we collect this type of information and data, because we're able to see that without even the users even knowing, we can take action on it. So for instance, I have a doctor, her name's Cindy. She's currently logged in. I know she's a doctor. She's actually looking at same CT scan right now on her remote desktop. She has the same access to the same file repository I showed you just a minute ago, right? Now, the true nature of a NAS is many users can access that shareable storage. So just to show you, I have another user as well. This guy's just regular Dave, that's me, and he's watching another training video, but he also has the same access to the same file repository, right? Anybody accessing that information, about 85% of the data on your shared network is accessible via read and write. A normal user can go in and wipe it all out. They can delete it, they can corrupt it, they can do most of anything they can to it. The problem is nobody's watching that. Nobody's watching it from the storage. Everybody's watching the perimeter. Security guys aren't worried about the perimeter. They're trying to get in and actually compromise this. So let's say Cindy's at home. She's working on a case, and her son comes down the steps and says, "Hey, Mom, check out this new TikTok video." She picks up Mom's laptop while she's grabbing a coffee. She's already dual authenticated to the network, a trusted entity in the actual hospital on the network, and accessing corporate information. And her son just grabbed that asset and downloaded accidentally a ransomware virus. Now right here I have a ransomware virus I can launch and simulate inside this lab, so I'll go ahead and launch that real quick. This is a Ryuk attack, specifically. And it'll go through, and as you'll see here, all of a sudden her access has just got stopped. She no longer has access to that network resource. The video has stopped playing immediately. She cannot access that file repository, and no data on the network is now accessible to her because the brick store in the background has locked down and saw something suspicious happening with Cindy's account and stopped access to stop any further damage to that infrastructure. Meanwhile, most people in the IT industry, including me in the olden days, once we detect something like this, everybody's running to the data center and turning everything off. Well, you can't do that in a hospital. You can't do that in the medical industry. This data is necessary to run operations. We can't have slowdowns or times where we don't have access to this information. Just think of stroke victims. Minutes count. If I don't have access to the imagery, I may not be able to perform surgery to save lives. So if you look at this, user Dave is still up and running. There's he's not dropped access. He's still able to operate under this stressful condition. We call this cyber resilience. You still need your backups, you still need your firewalls, but what you need is accessible information, being able to serve data even while you're under attack, being able to address and still service the many. Nobody's going home, nobody's shut down, everybody's still able to work, and nobody even knows except for the IT administrators, right? So the storage admin sees, oh, I got a new alert popped up. Let me go look at that. So we now see we got two alerts. One, I've identified that somebody's attacked our data. Somebody's using a Ryuk ransomware virus to encrypt information on the storage, all the data that's on that. We can see that the Cindy account, Cindy at Racktop Demo here, she's the one that's been compromised. She's the one that is now been shut down, and the brick store has protected itself against her. Didn't shut down everybody, just identified and isolated her. We also see that she's coming from the VPN network. I have all this information, all the fidelity is there for that. And the security team, I have also received a bunch of alerts via email, Slack, PagerDuty, whatever you need from a communication standpoint, because when you're under attack, you need communications, you need to draw that attention so that you can stop it, react, and remediate as fast as possible. So I'll go ahead and acknowledge this alarm in the actual storage here, say Dave's working on this. This becomes also a ticketing system, because not only do we have who, what, when, where, we know exactly what was affected. I can go see every single file that had been compromised and encrypted so that I can quickly restore, and remove the file that has been affected so that the users don't open those files up. If they opened up that file, it'd say you owe 50 Bitcoin. Now, the problem is 10 years ago when I first went through this, Bitcoin was $100. I told the CIO, hey, bad news is you've been compromised, you got ransomware virus. Good news is Bitcoin's only $100. Bitcoin is almost $60,000. Who can afford 60 Bitcoins, 50 Bitcoins these days, right? You need to be able to respond to these types of attacks in real time and defend the infrastructure against these types of attacks. So that's what our system does. The Brickstore security platform can identify, detect, stop, and remediate in real time ransomware events. Last one here. So once I got all the files recovered and all the data accessed back, we can go back and look at Cindy and we'll say, hey, well, Cindy's now been cleaned up. The desktop team has gone ahead and cleaned her desktop. So desktop team is called all clear. All right. Well, now lift the actions that the Brickstore has taken against Cindy to block her access from any further damage, and we need to give her access back. So we've now lifted that actionable item and just against Cindy, and we can go ahead and close this case out. Now, this case can now be exported and sent over to an auditor or the authorities. This might be something new. We are using user behavior to detect ransomware. We're not classifying like an antivirus system. We're not using those signatures. We're looking at real user behavior and activity to identify and detect it, because we're looking for 0 day. The 0 day is what you got to be worried about and what you got to protect against. So this is how we do this to guarantee you're not going to fall victim to the ransomware events. So we'll go over ahead and just look at Cindy's account real quick and say, Cindy, we just got your new desktop. You just got your new training. You can see that Cindy automatically already has access back to everything that she was working on, right? Meanwhile, I myself never lost access. Well, I probably did, but Dave, the other user, Dave never lost access to his the data and what he had been working on. So the hospital continued to function under this dire stress of a ransomware attack. And if you think about it, most people don't have an answer. We are the only storage platform, security platform on the planet today that can live action, take action against ransomware and insider threats. Now, I probably got, 2 minutes? If you got any questions, you come by my booth. I'll bring that slide up real quick and leave you with that. 6704. I can go further because we do much more than just stop ransomware. We have a lot more tools in that tool chest that would love to show you what a full feature system can do. And we also have the ability, you can deploy this in any infrastructure today. If you need access to this, we will make use of the existing investments you already have in storage to give you this security capability on that storage platform. So I thank you again. I'm Dave Hughes from Racktop Systems, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.